But I want to talk about generational education.
Yep.
Which your grandmother did that for you.
Yep.
Right? You said you skipped a generation, but it didn't skip your generation.
It didn't skip my generation, and I'm praying and that I'm trying to do everything I can that it will not skip the next generation as well, because that's what I heard this as expression, and it's kind of stuck with me for a long time. It's tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times create weak men. And it kind of continues from there. Weak men create tough times. And it's kind of this cycle that kind of just goes around and around. And I think that's what happened between my grandmother and my father. She came in, tough woman, created easy times created weak men created tough times for me and my family. Right? So it's how do you break that cycle? How do I create better times for my children? Because that's what we all talk about, is giving our children the things that we never had, but also give them enough struggle and adversity to make sure that those weak times don't reappear.
But how do you balance that? Like, how do you give them enough danger?
It's tough.
And it's hard.
It's tough, real tough. I mean, I think about it. That's probably one of the only things I think about every single day is my daughter asks me for something. Do I give it to her? Do I make her work for it? Am I being too tough? Am I being not tough enough? You know what I'm saying? So it's something I think about, on a daily. I have 2 kids now. And they're both starting to realize, they see commercials. I want this, and they see, Dad, can we go out to? I mean, I'm getting requests from. This is how good life is. We're getting requests from. My son doesn't like anything. He wants calamari every time he goes out to dinner. Now we go out to like a Fridays, and he's mad because calamari isn't on the menu. He can't even pronounce it. But so, am I creating those weak times, or am I giving kids things that we never had? It's something I think about on a regular basis. And you're absolutely right. It is tough.
It is tough. And I was listening to a podcast, and the person said it's not our job to make our children happy. It's our job to put the tools in their life so they can find their own happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, wow,
because
we all think, I want to make my kids happy. Because we don't know what makes them happy.
Right.
Your grandmother didn't know what made your dad happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was part of the problem. My dad and my uncle, and when I tell people my grandmother was in the business, there's a sense of, well, Will had this kind of this leverage that none of us else has. I did in terms of inspiration and education, right, and encouragement.
Yep.
But again, my father being who he was, got mixed up, drugs, prostitution, bunch of other things. I hadn't seen my father. I'm 40 years old now. I haven't seen my father in 35 years. So, I mean, I know whether he's still alive or not, I'm not really sure. But there's been a lot of adversity. We grew up in the projects. My grandmother, I think, learned from that. And my grandmother didn't go along. This is my father's mother. So she wanted to go do her own thing. So there's been some adversity that I've had to get over in terms of, going through, figuring out how to pay for college, figuring out how to get out of my mother's house and live on my own and do all those different things. Things definitely weren't handed, but that encouragement and inspiration from my grandmother, and I'll never forget just kind of her saying, I'm a black woman from the South coming up to Boston with a 6th grade education. Look what I've done. Have you ever known me to work? Was what she used to always ask me. And the answer was no. I think back about it now, and I've never known her to have a job or anything. She was because somebody else is essentially, she didn't say these words, but somebody else is essentially financing our lifestyle, right? Because I bought assets early. I've let those assets appreciate. I've paid down the debt, and those assets are also cash flowing. I've just put a Northeastern education spin on it, right? Read a lot more books, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all these other different things, and taken it to another level that she was not able to take it to.
Gotcha.